G'day and welcome back. Today I have a new project. This was sent to me by a gentleman in Sydney. He asked if I could have a look and give it a service. The brand is HMV, or his master's voice. It's an Australian radio. They are called Super 5. It's a 5-valve set. I'm not actually sure of the model number. I think it's a 6554. There was at least another variant that had the same case and everything, but it was a different model number. Speaking of the case, it's in pretty good condition. The knobs on this side are yellowed, but they're intact. The knobs on this side are falling apart and they've lost the center, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I do think I have some spare knobs. The dial is nice and clear. That hasn't deteriorated. The front of the case and particularly the top has yellowed. I can try retrobriding it, but the little silver strip here with his master's voice on it, I'll lose that text if I put the hydrogen peroxide on it. The radios came in different colors. The front was always white, but the back had different colors. I think this one's called bronze green. They also came in pink, beige, gold, blue, and I think a charcoal color. If you're familiar with Techo Baz, he did one of these radios. He's in New South Wales. He does videos as well, and I think he did one of these either earlier this year or late last year. So you can skip mine and go and have a look at his video. I'll spin it around while I have a look at the back. There's the back of it. There's a bit of damage here. It looks like the two types of plastic have not liked each other or something, and it's kind of melted it. Not going to do much about that. There's two screws there. I'll take them out and we'll have a look inside. There's the radio. As I said, it's got 5 valves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This tuning capacitor is on a big angle there, so the rubber mounts have gone on that. You can see the angle here. It should be out here somewhere. Not sure what the valves are. That'll be a 6X4 for the rectifier. There's a 6M5 at the back, a 6AV6 maybe for the detector and triode, 6BA6 probably there, and 6AN7 I can tell from here. Can't actually see it, but it looks like a 6AN7. I can see a wax cap in there. That'd be the tone control. I'll flip it up, we'll look underneath. There's the bottom of it. Nice clean layout, easy to work on. There's some wax capacitors here. There's a couple of styros in there. I'm not sure if they're original. Probably are. They don't. Yeah, they look original. There's the two filter capacitors. A couple of dropper resistors in the middle. I'll check those. They may be out of spec. They take a fair bit of load. I'll remove these two screws and take the knobs out, and this whole thing should come away from the front of the case. Here's the front of it, and it's got that all metal front chassis type thing, vertical chassis. I'm trying to work out how to get this off, and it's broken. All the plastic there has broken, and that over here. I have undone the screws. There's screws that go in the back to hold it. I undid them, although they weren't really doing anything, but you can't get it off. It hits the pointer. So I can't go up, I can't go out because that balks. So I think I need to get this out of the way, and there's a cutout there. I think if I put it in there, this will come up. I can't, yeah, you can't do it. It needs to come up. So I'll turn the tuner, and that'll move the needle up till we're there, and that should come up, I think. That just doesn't want to come out of there. I don't know how you do it. I'll just drop this all the way down. The dial strings come off now. I'll run the pointer all the way down there. Doesn't help me work out how to get it out. There we go. Alright. So I'll have to investigate how that all works. Anyway, I've got the plastic off. I think the first thing I'll do is sort out the tuning capacitor rubber mounts. This wheel can come off. There's a couple of screws to undo, and that'll come off. I'll mark the shaft and the plastic wheel. Bit hard to see on that dark shaft there. Anyway, that's where it is. I'll loosen the two screws. There we go. Just removing the wires from the capacitor there. There's also a ground wire here. I'll get that off as well. I'll undo the 4 screws and I should be able to take the capacitor out. There's the tuner assembly, and it's got the same deal as always. It's got the bush inside a rubber grommet, so I need to remove the bush, and then the rubber grommet will have welded itself onto the metal there, so it takes a bit of cleaning. Bit of acetone usually gets that off. I might take this tuner off. I don't think I'll stick it in the ultrasonic. Oh, I might stick it in the little ultrasonic. That'll clean that up. I've got the capacitor here. This is a little jewelry ultrasonic, but it's good for these little bits. You don't need to get the big one out and fill it up with a gallon of water. So I'll just let that go. I think it goes for about 15 minutes. And you can see the junk coming out of it. So it's working alright. Ultrasonic cleaning powder, I put that in. I think last time I used citric acid. This has probably got citric acid in it. But I've gone back to using the normal stuff there. I just thought I'd try the citric acid last time. While the ultrasonic machine's running, I'll clean this up. I've taken the valves out. I can get to most of it. It's really just a bit of dirt on the top. It doesn't really need any real cleaning. I think I can take that speaker out. It'll give me a bit more access in there, so I might do that. There's the bottom of the speaker there. I can just see one screw that's holding it in. I think it just clips in. I was wrong there. There's 2 screws on the side. So now it should come out, and it's just got clips on the wires, the leads here. That's given me good access to everything there. I'll clean this all up and I'll take it inside. I wanted to Retrobrite the front panel here, but I need to get this sticker off here. And I've been heating it, and I have gradually worked underneath it. So it is coming away. I just don't want to crease it, because that'll just ruin it. But it is giving way. And just a bit of gentle heat. It's on 150 degrees C, and I'm not giving it too much, but it's enough to soften the adhesive. Just coming up to the end there, and there it is. It's off in one piece, and I can't see any creases or anything in it, so that'll go on back the way it was. But yeah, very stressful. I took it really slow, had to be careful I didn't heat the plastic too much. But anyway, that's a good result. I'll give this a good scrub up and clean, and then I'll take it outside and we'll Retrobrite it. Something else I wanted to Retrobrite was the knobs, and they've got a little, well, it used to be a gold disc in the end. It's probably just brass. So what I thought I'll do is drill through until it hits the brass. I've heated that up so it's quite warm, and that should just push it out of the way. Either that or drill a hole through it. So I've got some tape on there just to let me know when I'm about to hit it. Right, we're nearly there. I'll just put a bit more heat on it and we'll continue. Okay, that's good and hot now. If this doesn't work and I get up to the metal, I'll just put a punch in there and push it out. There it goes. There's the disc and there's the hole, and yeah, it's just a bit of punch brass. So that should polish up, and I'll put a bit of clear coat over the top, and then we'll be able to glue it back in after I Retrobrite the knob. I've cleaned the front and I've cleaned the knobs as well. We're going to try and get rid of this yellowing here, and the process I use they call RetrObright. It's not really a process, it's just something that people have made up. There is a Wikipedia page about how to do this and different ways you can do it. If you're in cold areas, you can do it in different ways. I'm going to put it out in the sun. So I've got some high lift cream peroxide. So it uses hydrogen peroxide. This is the more intense one. It's 40 parts by volume, or 12%. So all you do is open the top and just spread it over here. Then we'll put it in a plastic bag and I stick it out in the sun for a day. This particular one is a cream. You can get liquid ones, but a bit hard to make them stick to the plastic, so the cream's better. It will, in the sun, it will just go to a liquid anyway, so, but initially it'll stick there. This should work pretty well on this case. It's not that yellow. The top's a bit more yellow than the front. So a good coat on the top. You'll find this peroxide with the hair dyes in the pharmacy. I have one of these sealer freezer bags here, and I'll do the knobs as well. Any of this hydrogen peroxide that's left over I used to blonde my hair. The chicks really dig that. I'll go inside and seal the end up. I'll try and make a pillow so the bag doesn't sort of rest on the plastic front there. I'm just polishing up those heavily tarnished decorative inserts for the knobs. So they're coming up alright. I've got 3 there that I've done. Takes a bit of work though. It's quite a thick tarnish. These would have had a protective clear coat on them, so maybe that's what's discoloured. Anyway, the brasso's cleaning it off. I'll give them a very good clean with some wax and grease remover. Now I need to protect those to stop them tarnishing again, and I've got some brass and copper clear here. I think this used to be called Incrolac. Alright, I'll let those dry and they'll be ready to put back on. I'm going to try and repair this clear plastic dial. This piece is off the other end and I can glue it back on. This end is missing a bit here, and I've used this to make a mould, and I'm going to try and recreate this missing piece. This is me just playing around. I just want to see if the new plastic mix will adhere to the old acrylic. What I've done is used a small quantity of that silicone rubber mix and made a mould of this bit of plastic here. I vacuumed out the rubber, got all the bubbles out, and it's come out nice. It's a very good finish on that. It's a bit hard to see. I've got the broken bit of plastic here and you can hear it, and over here's the gap. There's no plastic there. So I'm going to fill this area here and try and, as I said, try and join it onto that. I've mixed up some clear resin and vacuumed it, got all the bubbles out, and I'll just pour it in. Oops. That takes about 24 hours to set fully. It'll be hard in about 12 hours, so I'll leave it overnight and we'll have a look in the morning. It's been drying for about 12 hours. It's gone off pretty well. I'll see if I can get it out. Oh, easy. Yeah, look at that. Brand new. That's actually a pretty seamless repair. Alright, I'll have to glue this other end together. The bit that I use for a template goes here, and yeah, I'll just glue that back in. That'll be alright. While everything's drying and getting a suntan, whatever, I'll replace all the capacitors. These paper caps have got to go. The 2 filter caps, of course, these are both 16 microfarad. I've got a couple of Carl's fantastic capacitors here. His link is in the description if you want to get some. That's pretty straightforward, just a couple of solder points there, but easy to change those ones. As I take these capacitors out, I'll check the resistors. You can check them in circuit, but generally they're a little bit out because they've got capacitors across them somewhere. That's brown, black, and that's a meg with a green there. Let's see what we got. Here, 0.9, and it's climbing, so there's a capacitor in there somewhere. Another one here, that's green, blue, red, so that's what's that, 5.6, and red's 2, so should be 5.6. Oh, there it is. What about this one, red, so that's 2 and yellow, so 220 K, yeah, 250, so that one's a bit high. Anyway, I'll go through, check the resistors. I'll get rid of these paper caps here. There's another one on the top for the tone control. I'll check these 2. That's 10K. There's 2 of them in parallel, so it should be 5K. There's 5K, so that's okay. There's another resistor here hiding. I couldn't see that one. That's red, black, and it's got a gold stripe, which you don't often see. I think gold is 0.1. So that's 2 or 20 multiplied by 0.1 or 10, which would make it 2 ohms, wouldn't it? Alright, let's try that. And it's coming up as 1 ohm. That's not right. It's got the globes in there. I think it's for the globes. There it is there for the dial lamps. So it's supposed to be 2 ohms. I'll take the lamps out a bit later on and I'll check that again. So leave it with me. I'll change all this stuff as I said. I'll come back when it's all done. I've replaced all those paper caps with poly caps. One down there, one there. The two filter caps are replaced. I had to race down to the electronic shop. I ordered a bunch of capacitors and other parts from Carl a couple of months ago, and I ordered 0.47 instead of 0.047. So now I got loads and loads of 0.47, and I didn't have any 0.047s. There's still a capacitor up the top I have to do. The resistors, I changed a number of them. Look, they were all perfect. The ones that changed, I was even scratching to change those. So the resistors are good. Here's the casualty list, and these capacitors have a date code on them somewhere. Yeah, that one says 66. I think that's been replaced. I think that's a new one. They would have had the same capacitor. Where's that one? 062. So the radio was made in 62, round about 62. There's the tone capacitor there. I'll change that and I'll come back. I've replaced that tone cap. I have the capacitor ready to go back. It's been cleaned and lubricated. It's got new rubbers on it, so we can stick it back in here. And it just needs some screws and some wires connected to it. I'll put the 4 mounting screws back in, connect the wires up. I'll come back and we'll see what we're going to do next. The capacitor's in, and what we have to do next is restring it. Now I need to put this wheel on, and I put marks on the wheel, but it turns out they were wrong. With the capacitor at the back fully closed, the mark was here, and that's not correct. I do have the stringing diagram here. Here's the dial pulley here. There's the little gap where the string comes out. That should be 30 degrees from the horizontal. Now, where they had it, it's 30 degrees from the horizontal, but the wrong way. It should be up here somewhere. I have my little adjustable protractor here. It doesn't have to be this accurate, of course, but that's 30 degrees, and there's the little cutout coming up there. So little red dots just past the 12 o'clock position. I'll do the screws up, I'll come back. I've tightened it up, and the little cutout for the string is in the right place now. The string had been replaced. I found remnants of old string up where the pointer was. I'm going to replace the string, so I'll start doing that. According to the schematic, there's the spring. We go straight out, up around the pulley twice, over here, back down, and then around the back here and down to here. Alright, so string through that hole, and then the little spring hooks in there. And then on the outer groove there, and then around here. I need to put the string towards the back there because I'm doing this in the reverse order. I should be doing it the other way. I've done that, but this isn't going to work because it's going to pull there, so the string needs to wrap around the drum once. So I'll pull the string back and should be able to wind it around there like that. Right, I've sorted that spindle out, and it goes down here now and comes up and picks up this pulley here, and then there's a pulley under here, so we get under there somehow, and then back under here, and then it goes over this pulley here. I put a bit of tape on that last pulley to hold it while I strung that last bit, and through the hole again, and we tie it off up there. I haven't tied the string off, I just put some tape there. Let's make sure it's going to work. Oops. Well, that's not going to work, is it? I undid all that string and started again, and I've used a longer bit of string. It just wasn't going to work that way. Well, it would, but not with that 30 degree there, so I thought I'll try and do it the way they say. So I've restrung it, and it's exactly the same as I've done before, except I started at this end, which is what I should have done the first time, and it's much easier to do. What's concerning me is, and it's like that on the drawing, this string overlaps the original string, which is not what you normally would do. I'll tape that string tight there if I can, and I'll just see if it's going to work or not. I'll run it through using the drum, make sure it's going to make it. The spindle won't work, there's no spring to tension it. Yeah, so that's going to work alright. And looking at a little drawing here, it actually shows it overlapping, so it's a bit unusual, but that's what they've done. I'll put the spring on and finish all this off, I'll come back. But I've done all that and it's working perfectly. Yeah, it works well. Okay, I'll put some valves in and we'll do an alignment. Before I put the valves in, I'll replace the dial lamps. They're all black. Okay, that is not coming out. That globe holder should have slipped out, so I'm not sure why it isn't. They're bayonet type globes, so if I push it down, maybe I can just flip it around and take the globe out from the front. Okay. I've got a new globe. I'll put it in. And I should be able to swivel that around. There it is. And put his little shield back on. Or reflector. I'll struggle with the other one off camera. Before I do the alignment, I'll have to put this dial glass back on. But this is the backing for it, and it's just some sort of vinyl that's come apart. So I'll take this off, clean it up. I have some vinyl here, I'll just recover it. I've assembled the glass onto the backing there, and it should fit in there. And yeah, that's pretty good. Now, it did have a strip of adhesive along there. I'm going to have to do that again because that metal needs to be held firm against this back plate here. So I'll put some adhesive along here, and we'll go from there. I'll run a bead of this adhesive. It takes quite a few hours to go off, so that'll give me some time to maneuver this around to where I need it. I'll refit the glass again. I've got some paper clips. I'll just stick them in the end to hold it in place. Now the next trick is to get this pointer in here, and I think I've kind of worked it out. It's a bit rough though. There it is. Oh gosh. I notice on the dial there's a little rebate, and I think it probably fits inside the case. So I need to go and retrieve the case and fit it on here and just make sure this is centered before I put the two screws down the bottom here. I have the case here. I centered the plastic dial within the case. The case is in the right place on the radio, so everything's lined up. The two screws that went through the repairs I did to the clear plastic there, I've got them in loose, and that'll hold everything together. I'll have to leave it like this for a few hours to let the adhesive set. This is dried overnight and it's all secure. Before I move on, I had a cup of coffee after I did this, and I had tucked this plastic dial behind the two tabs there and put the screws in from the back. And I was having my coffee and I thought, it should have gone on the front, surely. They should just go on there. That means that dial would just slip up under the pointer there, and you'd put the two screws in from the front. Easy. The way I did it was really hard, and trying to get that pointer in was difficult. So I came back, undid it all, put the plastic lens on the front, or the dial, and put it on the front there, and it wouldn't fit in the case. The dial sat up too high and I couldn't get it in the case. So I've put it all back together the way I did it originally, but I would not be surprised if that actually goes on the front. But it was this way when I've pulled it apart, so I've put it back the same way. The dial cord is a nice silver colour. I wanted to keep that. The wire inside is a plastic coating. It's still very flexible. I'm happy to leave that there. I did, however, check the plug on the end there, and this is a real home handyman effort. I'll try and show you. And if I zoom in, there's some of the stray earth wires, about, I don't know, 0.5 millimetre away from the active. They've splayed out everywhere. They've put them on the wrong side of the screw, so they've wound the wire that way and then done the screw up that way, which tries to unwind the wire. It's a real mess. They've got way too much wire exposed. Look at that one. That's miles too long. The other thing is that the active and the neutral, that's active. It's the other way around. It should be active over here and neutral here. So, wow, what a mess. Anyway, so it's a good thing I checked that, and that's going in the bin. I've connected the pointer to the string, and there's two little dots there, and that's the setting point with the gang closed. So that's set up correctly. I've also refitted the speaker. There was a little tear there, so I've put some rubber cement on there. And I've refitted all the valves. I've cleaned the pins, cleaned the bases, so we should be ready for a test. I have the radio running. I have to use my phone camera because if I put the computer on or any of the LED lighting, it just mucks it up because it's got a ferrite antenna on the back there. It's just picking everything up. So it is running and it's on a station. So it's working all right.
Well, why? He was playing first grade for the Balmain Tigers. Would the Forest capture?
Yeah, it's picking the stations up.
Winning strike rate, this dog. Stuck throttle. I had him on top last time, actually.
So that's okay. I need to just check the alignment. It looks pretty good. That station I had down here is just past ZL to the left. So that's 600, the station's 612, so it was just in the right place. But I will check it, check the IF transformers as well. I'll just do the IF transformers. I'll just do it very quickly because we've done it so many times. The signal generator's on 457.5, which is the IF frequency. And I've got the meter down there, kind of waving a bit. It seems to be the peak about there. Well, that's surprising. They're out a little bit. That's that one. I'll just drop the signal a little bit. Try again. I think that's it there. That's it. Next one. Right, that's it there. I'll go and do them again. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought they'd be closer than that. Maybe somebody's adjusted them to the incorrect frequency. I'll do the RF alignment, which means peaking the oscillator antenna and the pointer. I've got the pointer already set on ZL. ZL down the bottom there, the orange one, is 600 kilohertz. I've got the Swartz set up there at 600 kilohertz. If I turn it up, there it is. Now there's the oscillator coil buried in there. Now this is the antenna coil and it's been glued in position, so I don't want to move that if I can help it. So I need to peak this and the oscillator and just disregard where the pointer is. So what I'll do is just peak the oscillator and peak the antenna by turning the tuner there, and peak the oscillator again. I'm just going to get the maximum I can get. That looks about it. Now where's our pointer? It's the tiniest bit out. I'll just try and move that a tiny bit. I'll trap the dial cord there and I should be able to just move it a tiny bit. There we go. Okay, that looks good. That's right on ZL and we're still peaked. I'll set everything up to test at 1500 and we'll adjust these two little trimmers. I've got the generator on 1500. I've got the pointer on 3AK. And if we look down here, 3AK there is 1500 kilocycles. And I'll just turn it up and it's not there. Alright, let's find it. There it is. So it's a little bit out. That trimmer is the oscillator trimmer, so I'll pull it down. Just use my finger for the bit till I get it close. I'll use the trimming tool now. Let's peak that one. Very touchy. Bit of noise there. Okay. And this is the antenna trimmer, so I'll peak that one as well. It appeared to be about right. I'll just tune away. We should be on 3AK, and we are. Because that oscillator trimmer was so far out, it's probably thrown out the bottom end at 600, so I'll have to go back and just go back and forth them and get them both aligned properly. I'm not going to bother with that. I'll do all that and I'll come back. Alright, I finished that alignment. I spent a bit more time doing that. I went back and forth a few times. I ended up actually moving the pointer back where it was after I moved it that minute amount. It was actually correct the first time, so I probably should have done a bit of a rough check first before I moved the pointer. Anyway, the radio's been running for about a day and it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to put it back in the case. I'll come back and we'll have a final look at it. I've reassembled it all and it's looking pretty good. I've put the little brass discs in the knobs This one here, when I pushed the disc in, it chipped out the plastic at the back there. So I'll have to find another knob. This knob was cracked, and you might be able to see it there. There's a crack there, and it went there, and it kind of went down the shaft a little bit. So I super glued that together, and I printed out a little sleeve. So I covered the inside of that with super glue and then pressed it on the outside there. So that's quite a solid fix. So I can put that one in. It's nice and tight. I refitted his Master's voice sticker up the top there as well. Unfortunately, the RetrObright process didn't work very well on this. It's still yellow. It doesn't work on some plastics, and this is obviously one of them. It's a bit cleaner, I guess, but it certainly hasn't got rid of the yellow. I didn't do much to the back, just needed a polish. That was okay. I think the owner will be pretty happy with this. It certainly looks better than it did, and it's working. I can't test it in here because of the interference, but I can take it out on my barbecue and we'll test it outside using the internal ferrite antenna. I've got the radio set up on my barbecue.
Butterfly that Johnny Hobson found in the snow that day. So Johnny...
Works perfectly.
He didn't name it. Forward to discussions continuing. Okay.
So it works so much better out here than inside.
If you go to the US and you talk to people who are taking these robo-taxis, a lot of them actually prefer...
Americans and Australia was like England.
That's 4BC. I can just barely hear it when I'm inside.
Will be ideal for him.
That's the racing station. Now there's a music station here. There it is. Now I can't get that at all inside. I can get it at night sometimes. Another one there. That's a long way away, that one. There. So it works really well. I'm pretty happy with it. Trying it inside was disappointing.
It might be a decade, it might be 100 years from now.
Having that ferrite antenna in there really picks up everything that's in the room or in the house, really. So it's working really well. I'll be very happy to give this back to the owner. I think he'll be happy with it as well. So once again, I hope you enjoyed what we did this week, and I hope you can join me for my next radio adventure.